This episode contains graphic content that may not be suitable for all ages. Listener discretion is advised. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, help is available. Call or text 988 or chat with someone at 988lifeline.org. Those outside of the US, reach out to someone at your local crisis center or hotline. Please do not suffer in silence.
At first I thought he was telling a fit, and I told him, I said, go in the house and, we'll talk about this one again. And then the next day there was like 30 kids come up to me and said, Miss Donna, there's clowns in the woods, there's clowns in the woods. My child was with me, so I knew that they had to see something.
Do you remember when there were a bunch of clown sightings a few years back? It seemed like every week brought new reports of creepy clowns lurking at the edge of woods, roaming neighborhoods, and leering from parking lots. They waved at startled onlookers, chased kids with knives, or whispered from the tree line. At least, that's what people said. People flooded 911 lines with calls about these boogeymen in big shoes, yet concrete evidence was hard to find. It was a bizarre social media-fueled hysteria that spread across dozens of states and even overseas, equal parts absurd and unsettling. This is the story of that phantom clown phenomenon. For as long as there has been laughter, there have been clowns. Clown-like characters date back thousands of years, from ancient jesters who satirized kings to the circus clowns of the 19th century, with painted faces and oversized clothes. Traditionally, clowns were figures of fun and folly, given license to poke fun at the powerful as long as their antics stayed entertaining. But there has always been an undercurrent of ambivalence. The clown's painted grin can be too wide, its antics too unpredictable. Psychologist Frank McAndrew notes of historical jesters. They provided a safety valve for letting off steam, but only as long as their value as entertainers outweighed the discomfort they caused the higher-ups. In other words, clowns have always walked a fine line between hilarity and disturbance. The idea of the evil clown is not a purely modern twist. Trickster clowns and harlequins in folklore often had a dark or chaotic side, but in American culture, the creepy clown truly found its foothold in the late 20th century. A turning point came in the late 1970s with serial killer John Wayne Gacy, infamously nicknamed the Killer Clown. Gacy had performed at children's parties as Pogo the Clown, painting a big smile on his face, all the while secretly murdering at least 33 young men and burying them under his house. When Gacy's crimes came to light in 1978, the public was horrified. The clown, a symbol of innocent fun, was suddenly intertwined with dangerous psychopathology in the American psyche. As one account put it, the connection between clowns and dangerous psychopathic behavior became forever fixed in the collective unconscious of Americans. It's no coincidence that at around the same time, clowns began surfacing as outright horror villains in pop culture, from the malevolent Pennywise in Stephen King's It in 1986, to the Joker's ever more sinister portrayals in the Batman series. By the 1980s, many people were developing coulrophobia, an irrational fear of clowns. A 2008 survey in England even found that most children dislike clowns, suggesting that the friendly circus clown had already lost its charm. Clowns, once trusted to make us laugh, were becoming suspect. Not long after Gacy's case, an odd hysteria broke out that would mark the first major evil clown scare. It began in May 1981 in Boston, Massachusetts. On May 6th, police received a strange report. One or two men wearing clown outfits had been seen driving a van full of candy near an elementary school, allegedly trying to lure children. The very next day brought another report, a clown sighting in a local park, with one detail making it even more grotesque. This clown was said to be naked from the waist down. Soon, children in other Boston neighborhoods were telling parents and teachers about scary clowns in vans. The Boston public schools were alarmed enough to issue a memo warning students to stay away from strangers, especially ones dressed as clowns. The local media ran a headline, "Pupils warned of clowns," as parents held tight to their children. What made these reports especially perplexing was that police could find no actual clowns. Boston police logged over 20 clown-related calls to 911, yet not a single adult, not a civilian, not a police officer, ever laid eyes on those figures. We've had over 20 calls, but no adult or police officer has ever seen a clown, one frustrated police spokesman said at the time, calling it a sick joke if someone was indeed behind it. The clowns seemed to be phantoms, reported by frightened children, then vanishing without a trace. One person who took note of this phenomenon was Loren Coleman, a researcher of urban legends and other strange phenomena, and today considered an authority on mysterious clowns. In 1981, Coleman was working in Massachusetts and began collecting these odd reports. He soon coined the term phantom clowns to describe this phenomenon. As Coleman later explained, phantom clowns are usually very specific. There's a clown, often seen in a van, kids being approached and telling adults, and then the clowns never being caught. The pattern in Boston fit this to a T. And it wasn't just Boston. As Coleman spread the word to a network of colleagues around the country, he started hearing of similar incidents elsewhere. He recalled, "I started getting copies of local news clippings from Cleveland, from both Kansas cities. I really started tracking that this was a nationwide phenomenon." The spring of 1981 actually saw a wave of phantom clown sightings from Massachusetts to Missouri. In Kansas City, for example, dozens of kids claimed a knife-wielding clown in a yellow van was lurking around schools. Similar reports popped up in Omaha, Denver, and Pennsylvania. Almost always clowns driving vans, attempting to entice or scare children. Authorities were baffled. In city after city, police came up empty-handed. A Boston Globe follow-up article theorized that the clowns existed mostly in the minds of children, a kind of collective delusion or rumor that spread through schools. The idea of sinister clowns had become an urban myth that kids half believed and adults fully feared. A Chicago newspaper, reporting on a similar scare in 1991, noted how clown rumors were reaching near-mythic proportions, tumbling out from different parts of the city like clowns falling out of a Volkswagen. It was almost comical, yet the anxiety it caused was real. No children were ever harmed in these incidents, and no clowns were ever caught. But the phantom clown was now firmly entrenched in American lore. The clown sightings of 1981 died down as mysteriously as they began. In their wake, however, the image of the creepy clown only grew stronger. During the 1980s and 90s, popular culture continued to churn out sinister clowns in books, movies, and TV shows. Children whispered urban legends about clowns doing terrible things. One famous tale that was spread online involved a clown statue that turned out to be a murderous intruder in disguise. Horror filmmakers tapped into coulrophobia with films like Poltergeist in 1982, where a demonic toy clown attacks a child, and It in 1990, which imprinted Tim Curry's grinning, razor-toothed Pennywise onto a generation of nightmare-plagued viewers. By the 2000s, clowns were a Halloween horror staple, due in no small part to the Insane Clown Posse, who cleverly mixed horror with clowns. Surveys began confirming what many felt intuitively, that a lot of people find clowns disturbing. In an unusual 2016 study on the nature of creepiness, clowns ranked #1 among the creepiest occupations, topping even funeral directors and taxidermists, those who literally dealt with death. There's just something about that painted smile and hidden face that gives us goosebumps. Meanwhile, the phantom clown phenomenon never fully went away. It only went quiet for a little while. Loren Coleman noticed a pattern. These scares tended to recur in cycles, often flaring up during times of general anxiety. There was a spate of clown sightings in Chicago in 2008, for example, which he linked to that year's tense election season. Coleman theorized that frightening clowns serve as a kind of cultural distraction. He described a copycat effect, stating, "Suicide clusters, school shootings, terrorist attacks, and phantom clowns are all driven from one incident to another by the media reporting on them. When the news is dire, say during a contentious political campaign or social uncertainty, an oddball story like creepy clowns can snowball into mass fascination." Coleman continues, "The media concentrates on campaigns so much. If any incidental story comes along, it becomes wall-to-wall news. almost as if they need a distraction from the ugliness. And once the media spotlight shines on a clown sighting, more copycats tend to appear, a self-perpetuating clown carousel. By the 2010s, a new ingredient fueled the fire: social media. Pranksters realized that dressing up as a creepy clown was an easy way to spark a reaction, and now they could share the scares online for instant viral fame. In 2013, residents of Northampton, England kept spotting a mysterious clown in whiteface and ruffled collar holding balloons on random street corners. Photos of the Northampton clown went viral on Facebook. It turned out to be nothing more than a publicity stunt by local filmmakers, but it proved the internet's appetite for clown scares. The following year, a YouTube prankster in Italy garnered millions of views with staged videos of an evil clown startling unsuspecting pedestrians. That same year, 2014, there were reports of a Wasco clown haunting a small town in California at night, and creepy clown sightings were documented in Staten Island, all apparently pranks or art projects that took on a life of their own. These stalker clowns, as researchers call them, were real people dressing up as clowns to deliberately frighten others, often without breaking any law. According to folklorist Benjamin Radford, who has studied this trend, the appeal of the stalker clown is simple. It is a low-risk, high-reward stunt because it's virtually guaranteed to make local or national news. In other words, by the mid-2010s, creepy clowns were a ready-made viral sensation. The internet just expedited that process. All of these threads, urban legends, pop culture tropes, copycat pranks, and viral memes, came together in one perfect storm in 2016. Late that summer, reports emerged that creepy clowns were roaming the streets of South Carolina. On August 21st, 2016, police in Greenville County investigated claims that a clown with a white painted face tried to lure children into the dark woods near an apartment complex. Children said clowns offered them money to follow, and one woman reported seeing a clown with a blinking red nose lurking by a dumpster at 2:30 a.m., waving at her before disappearing. Within days, more sightings sprang up. A clown reportedly peering from the woods in North Carolina, clanging chains and offering treats. A teenager in Ohio chased down the street by a knife-wielding clown in a mask. By early September, the trickle of clown reports had become a flood. Eerie clown sightings were being reported in state after state: Wisconsin, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, New York, Florida, you name it. And it did not stop at the US border. As the weeks went on, the creepy clown wave spread to Canada, then to the UK and Australia by October. What began as a local oddity in the Carolinas morphed into a full-blown international clown panic.
There are concerns tonight that these creepy clowns and threats online will continue to grow.
A woman claims she was attacked by a man in a clown suit just this morning.
It seems as if a new report of a threatening clown pops up by the hour.
Police have their hands full with these possible sightings.
The clown reportedly appeared inside these woods.
This week, a 14-year-old in California was arrested when he threatened a middle and high school on an Instagram page called Fontana's Killer Clowns.
We've heard that people are going to show up on campus, but we haven't seen anything.
Police say the teen wanted to scare people and gain social media followers. Police in Connecticut dealt with a similar social media threat targeting several schools in the New Haven area. While they dismissed it as a hoax, they're still taking it seriously.
At this time, we are considering this to be nothing more than a prank and harassment fueled by social media and upcoming Halloween. Working with the police department and our own security team, we have no evidence that there is a credible threat to students or schools in the district.
The description's going to be a blue hat, blue curly hair, polka-dotted, rainbow-colored outfit.
It appears to have been much more than a scare near San Francisco on Wednesday. A mother says she fought off a person dressed as a clown who grabbed her one-year-old daughter.
I thought he was going to kiss her hand. Instead, he pulled her arm, literally. So I pulled her arm back and I kicked him.
Right there at that tree back there.
The phenomenon started in late August when children in South Carolina reported seeing a clown beckoning them into the woods, but those sightings were never confirmed. The clown scare was even brought up at a White House press briefing this week.
So I'm wondering if the president's aware of this phenomenon and the White House wants to say anything to discourage these types of pranks.
Yeah. I don't know that the president has been briefed on this particular situation.
Some are so upset by the perceived threats, they're ready to take the law into their own hands.
While it's funny to talk about it, people were genuinely spooked. Social media amplified each rumor, each grainy cell phone photo or anecdote of a menacing clown, fueling a sense that dangerous clowns were everywhere. In reality, many incidents turned out to be nothing more than hoaxes or pranks, but distinguishing rumor from reality became difficult in the frenzy. Police forces and school officials had no choice but to take the report seriously at first. Across multiple states, schools went into lockdown or sent warnings to parents due to clown sightings or threats. In late September, for instance, a high school in Ohio was closed for a day after a woman said she was attacked by a man in a clown suit, although her story later unraveled. Law enforcement grew increasingly frustrated as the prank calls and false alarms mounted. One county sheriff in Virginia bluntly reminded the public that it's a felony for an adult to wear a mask in public and terrorize the community. In another town, police flyers warned civilians that if they saw clowns and felt threatened, they had the right to defend themselves, effectively giving vigilante permission to confront anyone in a clown costume. The hysteria began edging into the absurd. In some places, angry mobs did arm themselves to hunt supposed clowns. College students at Penn State even formed a massive clown hunting rally one night, chasing rumors of clowns on campus. As one writer quipped, suddenly officers were running around towns looking for clowns, their work-life soundtrack, less bass and a lot more slide whistle. Hard numbers are difficult to pin down, but by October of 2016, there were reports of clown encounters in at least 39 US states and 18 other countries. Police continued to state that no evidence of actual clown attackers had ever materialized. There were no clowns caught, no definitive photographs, not even, as one reporter noted, a stray red nose or a strand of blue hair left behind. Yet the fear was enough to spur real consequences. At least 12 people were arrested across the US in clown-related incidents, mostly pranksters making false reports or menacing threats while donning clown garb. Tragically, in one case in Pennsylvania, a 16-year-old boy was stabbed to death during a confrontation that apparently began over someone wearing a clown mask. The clown craze also wreaked havoc on the real clown community. Yes, there is one. Professional clowns, birthday party performers, circus clowns, saw their livelihood under attack as schools and parents began canceling all clown appearances. The panic even grew so intense that McDonald's, the restaurant chain, temporarily benched its mascot, Ronald, keeping the famous clown character out of the public eye so as to not alarm anyone. One sociologist remarked during the 2016 scare, "It's a bad time to be a professional clown." No one felt this more deeply than clowns themselves. The World Clown Association, or WCA, representing legitimate clowns, publicly condemned the creepy clown craze. WCA President Randy Christensen pleaded with the public to understand that the troublemakers were imposters, not real clowns. Whoever is doing this crazy stuff is not a clown, Christensen emphasized in a video message. This is somebody that's trying to use a good, clean, wholesome art form and then distorting it. This is not clowning. This person is not a clown. Real clowns, he insisted, are about bringing joy and laughter, not fear. He even said, "I wonder if this wave doesn't have to do with the current state of our country," hinting that a national anxiety was seeping out in strange ways. Other clown organizations launched campaigns like Clown Lives Matter to restore the good name of clowns, though, as you can imagine, with limited success amid the panic. Even Stephen King, the man who had arguably done more than anyone to scare people with clowns, weighed in to calm the waters. He tweeted in October 2016, "Hey guys, time to cool the clown hysteria. Most of them are good, cheer up the kiddies, make people laugh." When the creator of Pennywise is telling everyone to take it easy on clowns, you know that things have probably gotten out of hand. So why was this happening? How did a wave of spooky clown rumors manage to captivate and terrorize so many people from all over the planet? In hindsight, analysts see the 2016 killer clown craze as a perfect storm of psychological triggers and social contagion. Fear of clowns was already pretty ingrained in our culture, and as psychologists point out, it's largely because clowns are ambiguous. Clowns wear makeup and disguises that hide their true identities and feelings, explains psychologist Dr. Rami Nader, who studies coulrophobia. That ambiguity, the smiling face that might not be truly smiling, leaves us constantly on guard. Clowns are mischievous by nature. We never quite know if we're about to get a friendly joke or a pie to the face. This uncertainty is exactly what gives people the creeps. Our minds race to imagine what might be behind the mask. In 2016, those imaginings ran wild. The 2016 clown panic had two distinct elements feeding each other. As Benjamin Radford explains, there were stalker clowns, the real individuals dressing up to scare people and posted on Facebook or YouTube. And then there were phantom clowns, the rumored, possibly imagined clowns that children and some adults swore they saw lurking in the shadows. The stalker clowns generated creepy images and incidents that went viral, which in turn primed the public to suspect any clownish sight in the corner of their eye might be real. Once the idea of evil clowns was in the air, suggestible minds, especially children, did the rest. It's a classic feedback loop of mass hysteria. Fear fuels rumors, rumors fuel more fear. These sorts of creepy clown reports are perfectly suited for going viral, and are specifically intended to do so, Radford notes, pointing to how quickly the stories spread on social media. A single Facebook post or blurry Snapchat of a clown could ricochet around the world in just a few hours, sparking copycats in the next town over before the first incident was even investigated. And investigate as they might, authorities kept turning up nothing concrete. As Radford emphasized, to date, there are no confirmed reports of any clowns actually abducting, harming, or killing kids. There just aren't. There are zero. In effect, the 2016 clown scare was a folklore outbreak, a modern-day boogeyman tale that people half believed, amplified by the connectivity of the internet and the perennial creepiness of clowns. By the end of 2016, the clown sightings had largely fizzled out. Just as Radford and other experts predicted, it turned out to be a short-lived contagion of copycats and mass hallucinations. A viral prank that ran its course once Halloween passed, and media interest moved on. There was no killer clown mastermind, no clown cult, no underground ring of child-snatching clowns or anything like that. When the dust settled, what remained was essentially an urban legend, and a lot of embarrassing 911 calls. The evil clowns melted back into the woods of our imagination, leaving no bodies behind, only our collective goosebumps. Yet the unease lingers. The evil clown phenomenon tapped into something primal, the idea that beneath a silly costume can lurk true malevolence. It forced us to wonder if the figures meant to make us laugh could ever really be trusted. In the end, it was all just clowning around, a series of hoaxes and tall tales that got out of hand. But it never felt like a joke while it lasted. Perhaps that's the final twist in this circus. We found ourselves afraid of essentially nothing, and that might be the darkest punchline of all. The clowns may be gone, but the memory of those painted smiles in the shadows still manages to send a shiver down the spine. And if another wave of creepy clowns ever comes capering out of the darkness, well, we'll remember. And we'll be watching. But until such a time, the story of the phantom clown phenomenon remains kind of unresolved. Thanks for listening, everyone. I originally planned on making this a bonus episode of the pod for Patreon, but it just seemed too fun. After the recent Butcher Baker series, and the general state of things everywhere, I thought we could use some good old creepy clowns. But while you're here, you should go check out the podcast Patreon at patreon.com/unresolvedpod. I just recently released the 3rd episode of the BTK series that I've been working on for a while now, and the 4th and final episode will be out very soon. I've also got another unique bonus episode of Unresolved coming out very soon about Ghislaine Maxwell, yeah, the child sex trafficker, potentially being a notorious moderator over on Reddit. Sounds crazy, right? Well, go become a patron and you'll hear all about it as soon as it comes out. But anyhow, that's enough for me. I'll be back with another new episode next week, so until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll talk to you all soon.